Are you ready to learn the truth about how people survived in the harshest cold without modern heating systems? Many mistakenly believe that our ancestors simply froze in primitive huts and hoped for a miracle. The hidden truth that everyone keeps quiet about lies in the unique architecture of ancient dwellings, capable of withstanding the most merciless elements. For centuries, Native American tribes built structures with incredible thermal insulation. They skillfully used available natural materials to maximize the retention of precious heat. This knowledge allowed them to comfortably endure the long months of harsh winter. The traditional earthen dome of the Navajo people is not merely a shelter, but a complex engineering structure. The frame, made of sturdy logs, was securely interwoven and covered with a thick layer of compacted earth. This massive structure functioned as a huge heat accumulator, slowly absorbing heat from a small internal hearth. The dense clay blocked any drafts and completely prevented the heated air from escaping. Even when a fierce blizzard raged outside, a stable temperature was maintained inside. Watch the video to the end, and you'll learn how this enclosed space of logs and earth saved entire families during deadly winter storms. What if I told you that everything you believed about primitive shelters is wrong? The traditional Hogan completely shatters conventional stereotypes about winter survival. This massive structure has no familiar corners or straight, flat walls. Its shape is dictated by the harsh laws of aerodynamics and colossal wind loads. A winter storm on the desert plateaus brings with it biting, icy winds. A typical square house takes the full brunt of the elements on its wide facades. The dome-shaped structure of the Hogan forces the cold air currents to flow smoothly around the building. The wind simply glides over the rounded walls, finding no obstacles to its destructive force. The frame is constructed from massive juniper or high-strength pine trunks. The trunks are carefully stripped of their bark and fitted tightly together. Craftsmen create a complex system of interlocking joints without using a single nail. This wooden framework is capable of withstanding the incredible weight of winter snow cover. A thick layer of clay and dense soil is laid over the sturdy wooden frame. The earthen crust acts as an incredibly powerful natural insulator. Frost cannot penetrate this dense barrier even at extremely low temperatures. The interior space is reliably sealed off from the all-consuming cold outside. The doorway always faces strictly east for specific practical reasons. This is a precise, well-calculated design for natural lighting and morning heating. The first rays of the rising sun penetrate inside and instantly begin to warm the room. The eastern facade is also the least exposed to direct hits from the prevailing cold winds. The thickness of the walls at the very base can reach a full meter. Such a massive mass of dry earth acts as a giant heat accumulator. During the day, the thick walls absorb valuable heat from the internal hearth. At night, they slowly release it into the space, maintaining a stable, comfortable temperature. A through-hole is always left in the center of the earthen dome to allow smoke to escape. It is designed to create proper and strong draft. Smoke from the hearth rises in a steady column and immediately exits to the outside. At the same time, cold air from above does not descend due to the powerful upward heat flow. The floor inside such a dwelling is always slightly sunken into the solid ground. This creates an additional layer of reliable protection against deep soil freezing. The lower layers of soil maintain a stable above freezing temperature practically year-round. The sunken earthen floor helps to firmly retain heat in the living area. Every detail of the Hogan is carefully designed to maximize the conservation of precious energy. Wood, hard clay, and the sunken floor create an ideal, airtight thermos. People inside can safely and comfortably go about their daily activities. Meanwhile, a destructive snowstorm can rage unhindered outside. It's amazing to witness such a perfect engineering adaptation to an incredibly harsh climate. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this structure. What do you think of this kind of ingenious architectural engineering from the past? Share your thoughts in the comments and be sure to subscribe to our channel. Are you ready to learn the truth about how fire was maintained in conditions of the most severe fuel shortage? The hearth in a Hogan is always located exactly in the center of the packed earthen floor. This spot is the main source of life-saving warmth during long winter blizzards. The correct placement of the fire ensures the most even distribution of heat throughout the entire perimeter. Preparations for an approaching severe storm begin long before the first snowflakes fall. The men gather dry branches and trunks from trees long since felled by the wind. The wood is neatly stacked right inside the spacious room or at the very entrance. The supply must fully cover all needs for several days of continuous burning. Using dry firewood requires the strictest economy and careful, constant planning. The fires never build up to enormous, scorching, and dangerous proportions. Preference is always given to the very slow smoldering of thick, resinous logs. This method allows for maximum heat with minimal consumption of valuable wood. Thick smoke from the hearth rises directly to the ventilation opening in the roof. With proper, stable combustion, virtually no carbon monoxide accumulates inside the structure. Warm air constantly circulates in a spiral, washing over the smooth walls and descending back down. This creates a continuous closed-loop heating cycle for the entire enclosed interior space. Large stones arranged around the fire serve a crucial technical function. They heat up intensely from the flames and become additional heat sources. Even if the fire goes out completely for a time, the stone ring will continue to warm the air. This simple and accessible technology significantly increases the overall efficiency of the central hearth. The gray ash from the fire is never simply thrown out onto the street. It is actively used for various daily household needs inside the Hogan. Cooled fine ash is excellent for thoroughly cleaning grease from dishes. Clean ash is also used in the complex preparation of certain types of tough plant-based foods. During a fierce storm, no one leaves the shelter unless absolutely necessary. People sit calmly around the life-saving fire on thick woven rugs. Traditional household work continues without a single moment's pause. Women diligently grind dry corn using heavy stone grain mills. Bright sparks from the fire shoot upward, illuminating the dark wooden arches. The curved earthen walls softly absorb the glare, creating an even and pleasant light. In this warm twilight, people repair broken tools and sew. Monotonous manual labor helps pass the long hours of unrelenting bad weather quickly. Each new log is tossed into the fire with incredible precision. The temperature inside is always maintained at an optimal, comfortable level for active work. The outer clay walls may be thickly covered with a crust of ice, but warmth reigns inside. This colossal temperature difference clearly demonstrates the genius of the Hogan's design. Maintaining the fire requires constant attention and the utmost respect. People take turns tending the hearth in strict rotation, ensuring it never goes out. In the next chapter, you will learn how special methods of creating woven fabrics retained heat right at the floor level. What I am about to show you next is something no lover of true history should ignore. Inside the Hogan, a unique and complex system of textile insulation is created. Large looms are set up in the brightest central part of the room. Craftswomen diligently weave incredibly dense rugs that serve as true armor against the cold. The continuous weaving process does not stop even during the fiercest storm. The vertical wooden loom is firmly secured between the floor and the sturdy ceiling beams. Long warp threads are pulled with incredible physical strength and precision. Each new row of weft is tightly beaten down with a special heavy wooden comb. The resulting thick fabric possesses phenomenal density and the highest wear resistance. Such items are completely impervious to moisture and excel at retaining warm air. They are spread directly on the cold earthen floor in several thick layers. This creates a surprisingly soft covering that reliably insulates the feet from the cold ground. Huge blankets made of durable natural yarn are also hung on the shelter walls. The air layer between the hanging blanket and the earthen wall acts as an excellent insulator. The room appears slightly smaller, but becomes much warmer and cozier. The heavy textiles literally absorb all traces of cold air seeping in from outside. The vibrant dyes for the durable threads are derived exclusively from natural ingredients. The roots of rare plants and tree bark yield incredibly deep and rich colors. The dyeing process requires a long time and specific temperature conditions. Often, the colored decoctions are boiled directly over the central hearth during a raging storm. The doorway is tightly sealed with a specially woven, heavy, multi-layered cloth. This thick curtain serves as a reliable barrier between the warm house and the icy street. The edges of the cloth fit perfectly against the smooth wooden door jambs. No sudden gust of wind can penetrate this sturdy barrier. At night, people cover themselves with several layers of these heavy blankets. The dense interwoven structure of the fabric retains the body's heat until morning. No harsh frosts are a threat under such a reliable fabric shelter. The art of weaving becomes a literal physical salvation during the harsh winter months. The intricate patterns on the carpets carry profound meaning and historical memory. Geometric intertwining shapes reflect the desert landscape and formidable natural phenomena. The weavers pour all their exceptional skill and utmost concentration into their work. The enclosed, tranquil space of the Hogan greatly facilitates such focused, painstaking labor. Creating a single large, thick rug can take several long months. The drawn-out winter storms provide an excellent opportunity to devote oneself entirely to this meditative process. The rhythmic sound of the loom at work becomes the main rhythm of life inside the shelter. The muffled thud of the wooden reed blends with the howling wind outside. Navajo textiles continue to amaze with their incredible quality. Their traditional methods of insulating homes remain relevant to this day. Please like this video if you were impressed by the skill of these ancient weavers. Guess what happened next when the supply of fresh summer food ran completely out? The meager winter diet consists exclusively of long-lasting and dried foods. Dried hard corn always takes center stage in any family's food supply. Ripe ears are carefully harvested in the fall and thoroughly dried in the sun. Storing this valuable food requires a special engineering approach in the conditions of an earthen Hogan. The dry kernels are carefully transferred into special thick-walled clay jars or tightly woven baskets. The containers are sealed as tightly as possible to reliably protect the contents from moisture. All supplies are placed along the walls, where the overall temperature always remains stable. The cooking process always begins with the laborious grinding of hard corn kernels. Women actively use a flat lower stone and a heavy cylindrical upper roller. The long grinding process requires great physical effort and boundless patience. The resulting fine flour becomes the main ingredient for thick flatbreads and hot soups. Clean water for cooking during the harsh winter is obtained from fresh snow. White snow is gathered right at the entrance to the dwelling and quickly melted in clay pots. The pot is securely placed on hot stones next to the large central hearth. The heated water is actively used for kneading stiff dough and for the long cooking of beans. Fresh flatbreads are very often baked directly on large, hot, flat stones. The stone is first cleaned of ash and generously greased with natural vegetable fat. The corn dough sets quickly and develops a pleasant, crispy, dark crust. This simple cooking method requires no complicated cookware and saves a great deal of fuel. Dried pumpkin and various wild herbs add much-needed variety to the winter diet. These beneficial herbs are gathered in the spring and dried in deep shade until completely dehydrated. In winter, they are soaked for a long time in hot water before being added to the large bubbling pot. The hot, thick soup warms the body perfectly after long hours of physical labor. Keeping all food in good condition is critical to the group's survival. Any unexpected spoilage of supplies can lead to severe hunger before spring arrives. Therefore, the humidity level inside the earthen Hogan is always monitored very carefully. Regular, brief ventilation through the smoke vent is excellent for preventing dampness. The process of eating prepared food is strictly regulated and absolutely does not tolerate any fuss. Hot food is portioned out into clay bowls and eaten in complete, peaceful silence. In a closed, isolated space, every bite of food is worth its weight in gold. People fully understand that their food supplies are very strictly limited. Leftovers are never simply thrown onto the earthen floor. Every crumb is carefully collected and used for the next full meal. Even tough roots and hard stems are boiled for a long time, several times in a row. Maximizing the efficiency of the diet helps them successfully survive the longest storms. Meals in the Hogan are subject to the strictest discipline and total conservation of resources. The long winter months demand tremendous endurance from every member of the group. In the next chapter, you will learn what the daily routine was like during a multi-day spell of bad weather. A destructive winter storm can rage continuously for several long days or even weeks. Spending all that agonizing time in a single small room is a severe ordeal. People do their utmost to fill every spare minute with useful manual labor. The men work diligently on repairing farm implements and crafting new, sturdy tools. Complex repairs to work equipment require great precision and good spotlighting. Individual workstations are set up as close as possible to the bright central fire. Long wooden handles are carefully sanded using rough grinding stones. Sharp tips are securely tied in place with strong dried plant fibers. The women continue to weave and sew warm clothing from thick fabrics without stopping. Damaged, thin sections of old rugs and capes are carefully repaired with new threads. Monotonous manual labor is an excellent distraction from the terrifying howling of the wind outside. Repetitive, steady movements quickly and effectively calm the nervous system. The confined, cramped space requires strict adherence to strict rules of conduct. No one ever makes sudden, unpredictable movements or raises their voice. Any conflicts in such a cramped shelter can lead to absolutely catastrophic consequences. All members of the large family show the utmost respect and patience toward one another. The general soundscape inside the Hogan is strikingly different from the raging environment outside. The thick, monolithic earthen walls almost completely absorb the terrifying noise of the blizzard. Inside, only the crackling of burning logs and the rustling of work tools can be clearly heard. This deep silence creates an incredible sense of safety and complete isolation from the world. A distinctive smoky scent deeply permeates the thick clothing and the earthen walls of the structure. This rich aroma becomes an inseparable part of harsh winter life. The ventilation opening in the roof sometimes becomes completely blocked with heavy, wet snow. Then it must be carefully cleared with a very long and sturdy stick. Sleeping at night in the Hogan is also strictly governed by a specific, well-established schedule. People always lie down with their feet directly facing the warm central hearth. This ensures that the maximum amount of precious heat is retained for their feet. The person on duty by the fire carefully makes sure that no one freezes at night. Daily hygiene, under conditions of the strictest water conservation, is reduced to the absolute bare minimum. Warm, fine ash is sometimes used for dry cleansing of the face and hands. People quickly get used to such conditions and do not experience any significant discomfort. The main task is to preserve heat at all costs and safely wait out the storm. Time inside the dark shelter passes quite differently than in the open air during the summer. Long days imperceptibly merge into one incredibly long chain of repetitive actions. You can only orient yourself by the narrow beams of light streaming in from the top smoke vent. This teaches people incredible psychological endurance and humility in the face of nature's power. Every storm inevitably ends eventually, leaving behind colossal white snowdrifts. People very slowly open the heavy curtain and assess the aftermath of the raging elements. The Hogan once again vividly demonstrates its phenomenal architectural reliability. The well-thought-out design completely outmatches the power of the natural storm. The secret, carefully passed down from generation to generation, is hidden in the roof of this structure. Precise control of the air inside the Hogan constitutes a highly complex climate system. The opening in the center of the earthen dome serves not only as a chimney, but also as the main temperature regulator. Its exact diameter is carefully calculated early in the construction process. If the top opening is too large, all the accumulated heat will quickly escape outside. If it is made too small, people risk serious harm from carbon monoxide buildup. Ancient builders discovered the ideal aerodynamic proportions through long trial and error. The air-heated draft works flawlessly even in strong, gusty storm winds. During a heavy snowstorm, the cold outdoor air becomes much heavier than the warm air. It rushes downward from the outside, creating enormous pressure on the earthen walls. Inside the Hogan, light, warm air rises, creating strong internal pressure. This pressure difference reliably prevents drafts from entering through any microcracks. The eastern doorway, covered with a thick woven blanket, also plays a role in this complex circulation. The lower edge of the heavy curtain allows just the minimum amount of fresh oxygen to pass through. This cold oxygen creeps along the floor directly toward the blazing central hearth. The fire receives a steady supply of fuel, and the hot exhaust air escapes through the roof. Sometimes a winter blizzard can last so long that snow completely buries the Hogan. The low, round structure turns into one huge, inconspicuous white snowdrift. The thick layer of snow on top begins to act as an incredibly powerful additional insulator. The sturdy earthen roof beneath it does not freeze at all and retains its original strength. The smoke vent at the top quickly melts the falling snow around it, forming a long ice tube. Thick smoke escapes unhindered, even if the house is completely hidden under deep snowdrifts. The people inside are in complete isolation and total climatic safety. Their ingenious ventilation system continues to function flawlessly and completely autonomously. The humidity of the trapped air inside is also controlled by the dry logs of the frame. The porous wood eagerly absorbs excess moisture from frequent breathing and cooking. When the air becomes too dry, the logs gradually release the accumulated moisture back into the air. This creates an ideal balanced microclimate for the human respiratory system. The physical temperature gradient in the spacious room is distributed very clearly and predictably. At the earthen floor level, the overall temperature may be just a few degrees above freezing. At the waist level of a seated adult, it is already quite warm and comfortable. Scorching hot air from the central hearth accumulates right under the ceiling bulb. People easily adjust their position depending on their current temperature needs. If they need to warm up quickly, they simply sit as close to the fire as possible. For work requiring coolness, they move toward the cool earthen walls. The Hogan provides several distinct temperature zones within a very small area. Skillful and precise control of air currents save thousands of lives every harsh winter. This invisible, ingenious engineering worked flawlessly for centuries. In the next chapter, you will learn how the ultra-strong, monolithic shell of this house was constructed. The incredible strength of the traditional Hogan is due exclusively to the correct distribution of physical loads. The sturdy wooden frame is assembled according to the ancient principle of a self-supporting round dome. The main thick load-bearing logs rest firmly against one another at a precisely calibrated angle. The heavier the roof presses down, the more tightly the elements of the entire structure interlock. In this complex construction, logs with a pronounced natural curvature are used. Absolutely straight, long logs cannot create the necessary, correct rounded shape. Experienced craftsmen carefully and painstakingly select each suitable tree while it is still in the forest. The durability of the entire future structure depends on the correct choice of building material. The rough bark is completely removed from the trees using sharp stone and bone scrapers. This reliably prevents the wood from rotting quickly under a thick layer of moist soil. Smooth debarked logs fit together much better and form an incredibly dense framework. Wood prepared in this way lasts for many decades without needing to be replaced. The spaces between the thick load-bearing beams are tightly filled with thinner, flexible branches. This creates an incredibly dense wooden lattice that serves as an excellent foundation for the earthen shell. The thin branches are woven so tightly that no soil seeps through them at all. This resilient lattice distributes the enormous weight extremely evenly across all load-bearing supports. Wet spring snow during prolonged storms carries a truly colossal weight. The completely flat roofs of ordinary houses very often collapse under such extreme weight. The proper dome of a Hogan allows the heavy mass of snow to slide safely down the edges. Only a minimal and safe amount of snow remains at the very top. A thick clay plaster is applied in several very thick and even layers. The very first layer is made of very liquid mud that penetrates into all the tiniest cracks. The subsequent outer layers are mixed much thicker, with the mandatory addition of dry grass. The dry grass acts as excellent reinforcement, securely binding the earthen protective crust. As it dries under the hot sun, the liquid clay turns into a monolithic and very hard shell. Heavy rainfall does not erode it at all thanks to the perfectly correct angle of the walls. Rainwater simply runs off to the very base without penetrating inside at all. Protection from excess moisture guarantees that the internal wooden frame remains completely dry. Strong earthquakes, although extremely rare in those parts, are also no threat to such a structure. The Hogan possesses a certain necessary flexibility thanks to its wooden skeleton without rigid metal fastenings. The load-bearing beams can shift slightly and safely relative to one another during strong tremors. At the same time, the overall phenomenal stability of the earthen dome remains completely intact. The base of the roundhouse does not have a deep foundation in the conventional modern sense. The walls simply rest evenly on soil that has been very tightly compacted beforehand. This reliably protects the structure from deep soil freezing and its dangerous seasonal shifts. The house literally stands directly on the ground, blending organically and visually with the landscape. This well-thought-out structural design makes the Hogan one of the most reliable shelters on the continent. modern engineers are still carefully studying the principles of this ancient construction. Nature itself suggested to observant people the ideal shape for reliable protection against its own elements. The structure coexists harmoniously with the surrounding harsh environment. The interior lighting of a Hogan during a winter storm is always very limited and extremely distinctive. As expected, the blazing central hearth becomes the main stable source of light. Its bright flame constantly shifts in intensity, causing shadows to dance across the curved walls. This creates a unique, mesmerizing atmosphere within the dark, enclosed space. During the day, a very small amount of light filters through the round ventilation hole in the roof. This narrow, bright beam falls precisely into the very center of the earthen room. By observing the movement of this sunspot, observant people can accurately determine the current time of day. The glowing circle creeps very slowly across the earthen floor, like a giant clock hand. During a very heavy snowstorm, the sky is thickly veiled by heavy gray clouds. The upper sunbeam dims and almost completely disappears from view. Then a constant, very thick and dense twilight reigns in the spacious Hogan. Human eyes adapt remarkably quickly to such sparse and dim lighting. The dark earthen walls do not reflect light at all. On the contrary, they actively absorb it. The interior space feels more cramped, intimate, and incredibly sheltered. The fire brightly illuminates only the faces of the seated people and their hands as they work. The corners of the circular room are completely submerged in absolute, impenetrable darkness. The complete absence of windows makes such a dwelling incredibly and phenomenally energy efficient. Fragile glass or thin films would instantly let precious heat escape. People consciously choose to sit for long periods in thick darkness, but in absolute warmth. This is an extremely rational choice given the extremely low outdoor temperatures. Long shadows from the supporting pillars fall on the walls in very sharp lines. Thick smoke, slowly rising toward the ceiling, greatly diffuses the glare of the fire. The air feels incredibly thick and tangible due to the constant circulation of dust particles in the beam of light. The overall visual scene inside is always filled with a primal, profound calm. People have mastered the ability to perform a vast array of routine tasks almost by touch. The long process of grinding grains or spinning fine threads requires no bright lighting at all. Sensitive fingers alone can perfectly discern the texture of the material and the correctness of memorized movements. The thick darkness significantly sharpens all other human senses. Sometimes thin burning torches are used to quickly illuminate the workspace. Thin, dry splinters produce a very bright but extremely brief light. They are lit exclusively for performing the most delicate and critical manual tasks. After use, the smoldering embers are carefully tossed back into the large fire. Light in the Hogan has not only practical, but also immense sacred significance. It is strongly associated with life itself, long-awaited warmth, and absolute safety. Gazing at the bright, burning coals is deeply soothing and helps one focus completely on one's thoughts. Constant visual comfort is very important during long winter isolation. The natural geometry of light and deep shadow strongly emphasizes the dome's unique shape. The smooth, even curves of the walls create absolutely no sharp visual contrast. All the lighting is very soft, diffused, and pleasant for tired eyes. This is the ideal visual environment for the extremely long winter wait for spring. A long, uninterrupted stay in a confined space requires special psychological adaptation. The inhabitants have developed incredibly strict unspoken rules of behavior during winter storms. Respect for each person's small personal space always becomes an absolute priority. In the cramped confines of an earthen dwelling, even a careless glance can spark open conflict. Therefore, people learn to control their emotions and strictly observe invisible boundaries. No one ever intrudes into another's personal space without a clear invitation. In winter, the earthen dome becomes a true, self-contained microcosm for one large family. People are forced to live side by side for long, cold weeks. Under such conditions, selfishness becomes an unaffordable luxury and a direct threat to everyone. From early childhood, every member of the tribe strictly learns the rules of peaceful coexistence. The ability to yield and help one's neighbor is valued far above any personal ambitions. This helps maintain a healthy psychological atmosphere within the very cramped shelter. Jointly and steadfastly overcoming difficulties brings all the inhabitants of the Hogan together in a powerful way. All daily duties are distributed with the utmost clarity and without the slightest unnecessary dispute. Keeping the fire burning in the central hearth becomes the most vital task. Preparing meager meals and repairing broken tools require daily, close attention. No one sits idly by, waiting for a fierce snowstorm to end. Every person makes their own physical contribution to the survival of the entire group. There is a very strict ancient custom of telling certain important legends only during the winter. The Indians believe that the spirits of nature sleep soundly beneath the snow and will not hear anything unnecessary. Winter tales are always filled with deep philosophical meaning and practical survival advice. They form a reliable moral compass for the entire younger generation. The voice of the old storyteller becomes the only link to the vast outside world. At such moments, the cramped, dark Hogan seems like the center of the entire boundless universe. Training in complex crafts takes place continuously through careful observation and practice. Experienced, skilled masters demonstrate the correct movements for intricate weaving or stone carving. Amid a long storm, nothing distracts from this intensely focused learning. Children methodically repeat the adults' movements, absorbing their people's centuries-old experience. The art of making warm blankets and durable clothing becomes the key to future security. Important knowledge is absorbed along with the warmth of the central hearth. Crafting useful wooden items from simple materials requires immense patience and skill. Pieces of dry wood gradually transform into convenient tableware or reliable hunting bows. Clay is carefully kneaded by hand to create new, spacious jugs for the summer. Every item made has its own strict and very clear functional purpose. The decorations and geometric patterns on these objects always carry a hidden, symbolic meaning. Monotonous, manual labor allows people to feel like creators, even in complete isolation. Deep silence is valued just as highly as the ability to speak eloquently. Long hours pass in absolute, perfect silence, broken only by the sounds of work. People are remarkably skilled at being alone with their thoughts without feeling the slightest anxiety. They listen to the howling wind outside and silently thank the Creator for the sturdy walls. The ability to avoid filling a confined space with idle chatter is considered a sign of great wisdom. Inner, deep peace is the main weapon against the oppressive winter blues. Food is accepted as a precious gift, not as a mundane routine. Every handful of dry cornmeal is received with immense gratitude toward nature. Food is distributed with the utmost honesty and care, in equal shares among all family members. This philosophical attitude makes it much easier to endure the extreme scarcity of the winter diet. People chew their food slowly, savoring every tiny nutritious bite. Forced asceticism becomes not a punishment, but a fully conscious collective choice. Winter food supplies are always planned with the most unfavorable weather scenarios in mind. Dried, tough meat and sun-dried berries are safely stored in special hidden stashes. Experienced housewives know exactly how many days the remaining meager supplies will last. They skillfully cook thick, nutritious broths from old bones and dried roots. Water from clean, melted snow is used as sparingly and carefully as possible. Not a single crumb of precious food is ever thrown away. A view of the outside world through the smoke hole narrows the horizon to a single patch of sky. This hole serves as the only accurate clock and calendar for the people trapped inside. By the movement of rare stars or the color of the clouds, they easily determine the approximate time of day. This is an excellent way to learn to focus on what matters most, discarding all empty distractions. The outside world seems infinitely distant and unreal during a raging snowstorm. Reality exists only within this warm and secure earthen dome. The rhythm of calm breathing and movement synchronizes among everyone in the room. A strong sense of a single organism emerges, one that is tenaciously fighting for life. This powerful collective energy is excellent for overcoming severe physical exhaustion and the cold. People clearly feel each other's invisible support without a single word spoken. Their warm hearts beat in unison with the crackling of logs in a small fire. Long isolation paradoxically expands each person's inner world. The successful experience of surviving in a confined space makes people's characters much harder than stone. They know for certain that they are capable of steadfastly weathering nature's most terrifying cataclysms. Every winter they survive adds a deep confidence in their own inexhaustible strength. A primal fear of the unknown is quickly replaced by a complete understanding of the harsh laws of the surrounding world. The experience of harsh isolation forever changes their view of familiar, everyday things. Their roundhouse is their impregnable fortress, built of earth, wood, and boundless patience. The traditional earthen Hogan remains an absolutely unrivaled example of adaptive engineering from the past. Simple construction techniques, honed over centuries, have proven their absolute and undeniable effectiveness. Without the use of machinery or complex blueprints, people created a simply perfect shelter. This earthen capsule provided far better protection from extreme cold than many modern structures. Indigenous peoples brilliantly understood the physics of natural materials on a deeply intuitive level. Their structures served faithfully for many generations without major repairs. The wooden frame of such a traditional dwelling was always assembled from thick and very sturdy logs. The trees were laid in a specific way so that the dome could withstand the enormous weight of the earthen embankment. The logs interlocked tightly without a single iron nail. On top, this wooden framework was carefully covered with a thick layer of local wet clay. As it dried, this clay turned into a durable, monolithic shell that protected against any precipitation. The entrance was always located strictly on the eastern side to catch the first rays of the sun. Engineers and environmentalists today are studying the principles of this ancient construction method with great care. The use of exclusively local materials with a zero-carbon footprint is the dream of modern architecture. Building such a house did not require transporting heavy stone or timber from afar. All the necessary natural resources were always literally at the local craftsman's feet. The Hogan grows very organically out of the earth and eventually returns to it completely, leaving no trace. It leaves absolutely no ugly scars on nature's body after its natural decay. In harsh desert conditions, strong winds often become the main enemy of any tall structure. The aerodynamically correct shape of the dome allows destructive wind loads to be completely ignored. Fast air currents simply flow around the smooth walls, finding no weak points to strike. Many modern massive hangars and northern polar stations are built on a completely similar principle. Rounded, smooth facades are the best engineering solution for extreme weather conditions. Ancient peoples understood this through many years of careful observation of nature. Successful survival during a powerful winter storm depended not only on sturdy walls. The most important factor was ironclad internal discipline and mutual aid within the group. Excellent technologies worked only in close conjunction with proper social behavior. Architecture merely created the necessary physical conditions for the reliable preservation of life. If the people inside had quarreled or panicked severely, even the thickest walls would not have saved them. The unity of the human spirit was just as important a building material as clay. The enclosed, dark space always dictated its own harsh laws of extreme rationality. The conservation of precious fuel, water, and food was invariably held as an absolute. No resource was ever wasted under the harsh conditions of winter isolation. Dry twigs for the hearth were added strictly one at a time to maintain an even heat. Excess light from the fire was considered an unacceptable luxury during the long, dark evenings. This principle of maximum frugality remains highly relevant today. The human ability to skillfully create comfort in the most unbearable conditions is truly astonishing. With nothing but a simple tree, wet clay, and fire at their disposal, people defied the deadly elements. They made no attempt to conquer nature. Instead, they learned to blend harmoniously with it. An earthen dwelling was perceived as a natural and very safe extension of the surrounding landscape. Within these walls, people felt under the reliable protection of Mother Earth herself. The Hogan is the finest physical embodiment of this age-old natural harmony. The experience of ancient indigenous peoples represents a vast, invaluable body of knowledge on survival. Their skills are by no means outdated. They have simply acquired new great value in our rapidly changing world. Studying their culture helps us rediscover our close connection to this vast planet. We can learn from them great patience and an incredibly frugal attitude toward resources. Their history proves that harmony with nature is possible even under the harshest conditions. A deep respect for this knowledge helps us understand the complex history of the continent's settlement much better. Every smooth earthen wall and every hewn log carefully preserves the memory of overcoming hardships. They silently tell the story of how human ingenuity saved people from the icy breath of winter. These incredibly sturdy structures stand proudly as monuments to absolute human resilience. Studying such unique architectural structures allows us to view history from a completely different angle. The global struggle for survival was waged not only in conflicts, but also in the battle against a merciless climate. And in this difficult struggle, ordinary people very often achieve truly brilliant victories. Which of these ancient building techniques do you think could be useful when designing modern homes in harsh climates? Suggest topics for future videos you'd like to see on our channel in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss new exciting stories about life and architecture from the past.